Rings of Power has returned to torture tens of televisions across the globe. Yes, indeed, the bloated Amazon Middle-earth fanfiction returns for a second season, with Rotten Tomatoes once again shilling out at 86%. But just like a mud bath, the truth shall be revealed. The advertising for the show is absolutely killing it. I mean it. There shouldn't be a single person left who wants to watch it after this. That'll definitely get the 70-year-old soap opera grandmas to tune in. What did Shooter McGavin say could draw a crowd? A golfer with his arm growing out of his ass? The dumpster fire first season could only retain a third of its audience, but they're contractually obligated to waste hundreds of millions of dollars on 5 seasons of this trash. Finding something good to say about Rings of Power is like finding the best angle to stare at a bucket of piss. It retains every single issue it had when the first season hit in 2022.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
And the newest argument for shithead shills is that it's not as bad as season 1. That's the argument, and the crowd went mild. If Gandalf actually had to participate in this, he'd change professions for God's sake. Maybe that's just my excuse to use that meme again, but hey, it's at least better than the show itself. So what is wrong with it? Well, nearly every character is a shallow shell of themselves from a previous iteration, or they're made up for the show and have absolutely nothing to do with Lord of the Rings, making this a near billion-dollar fanfiction. The dialogue might be the most cringe in television history. Even if She-Hulk or The Acolyte is worse overall, this show is a disgrace to its source material with its faux Tolkien dialogue. Almost like the show absolutely hates the creator of the sandbox the writers are playing in. The second season continues to live off nostalgia for Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy. It certainly doesn't like to reference the ass Hobbit movies. No, it sticks to the good stuff, because there's nothing like reminding an audience of something better than what they're watching. The dialogue is so horrendous, there isn't an actor alive who could turn this pig into anything redeemable. It's hard to say if the cast is awful. I mean, they're definitely awful in the show, but I don't know if they're adding calories to the mukbang because they hired essential unknowns for the majority of the roles. A production full of unknowns is obviously totally fine in its own right, but with a budget of $500 million for the first season, you'd think some of that might go to adding a bit of pedigree to the cast. And all in all, the show is insufferably boring. By each episode's end, I was begging for these false finishes to stop. I'd sigh in relief that it was over, then it'd move on to the next slow motion shot of a character doing fuck all just to torture me that much more. I watched episode 1 and 2 on an airplane and thought they might pull an emergency landing. I was typing so aggressively. Shit dialogue, shit acting, shit story that's shitting on Tolkien, just to have it underscored in the end by how bland it all is. All of it. Even the costumes still look like they're budgeted for the CW television network. The costumes, which I have been reliably informed actually look decent. They're just horribly lit, so even the DP is bottom dollar. Get your mind out of the gutter, you maniacs. This show was supposed to be Amazon's big get. They spent $250 million just for the rights to a few specks of backstory, and thought the mere association to Lord of the Rings was good enough to greenlight 5 seasons. Someone at Amazon's getting the Bowen treatment after this debacle is over, but for now, we have season 2 to get into. This show is so fucking horrible that I honestly hope you don't go watch it. And I'm about to do my best to narrate it for you and pull off the easiest trick in the book. Be more entertaining than the Rings of Power. Let's go. Episode 1. We start with a 3+ minute recap of season 1, just in case you forget how ass it was.
Your people have no king, for you are him.
He is him. The real season starts as a flashback, right before Sauron meets Galadriel in the middle of the ocean. You remember that bullshit, right? Well, Sauron's hanging out just chilling with the orcs, looking like the guy Ed 209 killed in RoboCop. Seriously, look. Since this show is not Lord of the Rings by consensus, he is therefore not Sauron. So please indulge me with some nicknames as we proceed through this fisting affair. So, Sauras is giving a speech trying to get the orcs on his side. He does this by telling them everyone thinks they're pieces of shit, from elves to dwarves to humans. And to prove this, he stabs one to death. See? He thinks you're a piece of shit too, but you know, he's a benevolent prick. Head orc turd Adar goes to crown him and he's like, "Gotcha, bitch!" and gives him the old right there Fred. Soras is like, "No one makes me bleed my own blood." And Prometheus goos himself all over the place. Yes, he turns into Venom for a second and escapes via rat before stumbling upon a group of travelers he'll wind up in the ocean with. He joins them after hearing some faux Tolkien dialogue about how to be good, and wham! We get to see how Sauron ended up meeting Galadriel in the middle of the fucking ocean. Thank God we know, now it's not coincidental stupidity. The story finally gets going in this hour-long slog when we meet back up with Guy Ladriel. Let's dive into this banger dialogue, shall we?
Your companion, this Halbrand, was not who he claimed. Who is he?
He is not what I thought.
If you want to know how they stretch this bullshit out to 8 one-hour episodes, there's a fine example. People just repeat things the other person said because that sounds great, I guess. Your friend is not who you thought he was. Who was he? He is not who I thought he was.
Who is this man?
He is no man.
Shut your fucking mouth! Shut the fuck up, you cunt!
Hey guys, she said the thing.
I am no man.
She finally admits he's Sauron in the way Morfydd Clark does, beady-eyed and speaking through her teeth. Like the girl boss she is, she takes absolutely zero accountability for what she's done and immediately blames Elrond for this in a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon kind of way. This dipshit would have absolutely still arrived in Rivendell with Sauron whether Elrond succeeded in making amends with his dwarf friend or not. Yes, this character, because like everyone in this show, she is the classic character in name only. This Galadriel continues to be the typical modern-age insufferable bad boss bitch trope that gags the life out of any production. The show magically switches the role of culpability to Elrond, of course. Instead of throwing dipshit bad bitch in a cell for being a moron who's put the world in danger, it's up to Elrond to disobey his king and escape with the rings, diving down a waterfall like he's Arnold escaping the Predator. But not before Galadriel, dumbass extraordinaire, tells Elrond he must obey his king, even though she just spent the first 5 minutes of this refusing to obey a simple order of telling the fucking truth. A sign of great writing. The character does what the plot needs them to instead of sticking to the principles that define their character. Is she a girl boss? Absolutely, until she isn't because the story needs her to tell Elrond to obey his king, after she just disobeyed her king. Fuck you, audience. Elsewhere, Sorass tries to bargain with Adar, the Rat King, to let his people go in exchange for info about the rings. Adar's like, nah, and slaps him around a little bit. We flip over to see what the other characters you don't care about are up to. Nori the Not Hobbit and Not Gandalf are wandering through the desert talking about how hungry they are. Maybe start with the food you have stuck in your fucking head? What does that smell like exactly, and what utility does it have if not for eating? Fuck it. I guess Not Gandalf can finally say more words than corny shit like, I'm good. So hey, progress. He blows open a tree to reveal the food they'll be eating for days. Bugs. Yeah, fuck the actual edible food you have dangling off you. Eat the bugs, you moron. In the Grey Havens, random faux Tolkien character gives more fake Tolkien dialogue. I swear, it's like the writers read the books and decided every character has to talk in insulting fanfiction level Tolkien speak. Perfection. Perfection only exists in Valinor. Why does every character have to speak like this?
I perceive you carry something in your charge. Something louder than the sea.
Yes, yes. Give me that ass dialogue. Yes.
Elrond seeking help from an older, wiser elf. We know this because Galadriel is narrating it, because she knows. Because of course she does. And much like last season, the only redeeming scenes are his interactions with another character.
Elrond, I have come to coax you willingly.
What? Fuck off. What? Strong woman tries to convince Elrond to not destroy the rings, and the character assassination of Galadriel continues. Besides this character simply not being the real thing, why would anyone like this person? The writing has been so poor over 9 episodes spanning 2 seasons that there surely isn't some character arc in store for her. And even if there was, she shouldn't need it. Let's recap. She's been a headstrong dipshit who gets her friends killed, and openly lied to her friend and king because she fell for the fucking Lord of Darkness and is embarrassed by it. Then she starts pointing fingers at Elrond to deflect from her own idiocy. But yes, let's listen to her about what to do with the rings. It's season 2, and this Galadriel in name only is still the quintessential girl boss of the meta-modern age. You know the one. Devoid of actual consequences for her impulsive behavior. The girl boss that has no hero's journey. She's already great because the writers ignore her actions. She's just waiting for the other characters to recognize her greatness. Fuck this character. We return to the Not Hobbit and Not Gandalf, and shocker, her little friend was following her, just like Merry and Pippin followed Sam and Frodo. Get it, you guys? Let's seal clap again. I remember this.
Yes, yes.
Sorass is set free by Rat King, and dipshit old man brings back the rings to Rivendell after being swept up by their power. The funny thing about strong woman getting a ring is that, sure, the power they wield is clearly too strong for most of them, so in one sense you can't blame her for picking it up. But she was already a complete dumbass to begin with, so yes, you absolutely can. We end up with a replica of a shot you remember from the prologue from Fellowship of the Ring, because you remember that, right? They did the thing. They did the thing. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Episode 2. We start off with another recap, and the one thing I liked about last season doesn't hold up very well on rewatch. Whoa. Elrond and Ginger Dwarf's relationship was the most interesting thing, or so I thought, until I heard the dialogue again.
A mountain's like a person. Sing to it properly. It will reflect your song back to you.
Bruh. As if he was fired from my own mother's womb.
Shit! It is a table of shit!
Oh yeah, and Feminem.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Thanks, Nerdrotic. Forgot about that happy horseshit, didn't you? So did I. I memory hold that, but like Tommy Lee Jones in the contrived MIB sequel, it's back in my brain again. After the recap, Galadriel's fantasizing about the consequences of her actions because she's certainly not receiving any. The elves are trying to plan an attack on Sauron, but the god-awful dialogue keeps getting in the way of any momentum the show might muster.
It does not take the eye of an eagle to see your thoughts have flown far afield.
If I tried to make fun of everything worthy of it, I'd pause after every line of dialogue, so I'm going with the ones that made me actually laugh out loud. Soras arrives to see Celebrimbor because he still needs Captain Dipshit to complete his plan of ring domination. Oh, that's a nice shot. A broken clock's right twice a day. Yes, indeed. This shot's beautiful. A sad aspect of the show is how wonderful some of the CGI and cinematography is. What a waste. A quick cut to Whitey non-binary, who's getting a verbal lashing for not capturing Not Gandalf at the end of the first season. And then we flash over to Not Gandalf himself as they try to pick a name for him. Whether it's Disney and the Acolyte or Amazon and Rings of Power, there's one thing you can count on. Mystery box plot points that have excruciatingly obvious answers. Not Gandalf uttered the most epic line of dialogue in the history of media last season when he said, "I'm good," to make it clear who he's supposed to be, or at least remind you of. Will the show subvert expectations after being called out for the obvious? And if so, will the writers pull a Zack Snyder and claim they totally meant to do that after simply reacting to criticism? Let's find out. To further their application for the most uncreative and lazy people in Hollywood, the writers decide to remind you of a much better, thoroughly enjoyable, intense scene in Fellowship of the Ring. Remember when the Nazgul stalked Frodo, Sam, and their lot on the dirt road? So do Patrick McKay and John Payne. I'll never understand why Hollywood does this. Why would you want us to be reminded of something better than what we're watching? It just makes me want to watch the real thing.
Because a room is like a songbird. May sound filling from afar, but up close it's an empty feast.
Blank stare.
You mean your grandchildren? They're well. They miss tugging your beard, of course.
Blank fucking stare. The fuck? Who approved this line? Then Disa and Ginger Dwarf argue over the fractured relationship he has with his dad, and Strong Woman and Elrond are discussing their fractured relationship after Soras played Giga Chad and turned her into a trad wife. This show is so fun and totally not boring at all. More absolutely riveting and not boring shit happens next, if you can believe it. Don't believe it. Not Gandalf passes out right before they find a well in the middle of the fucking desert. Right on. Love it. Love it. Oh look, Not Gandalf and the Not Hobbits meet the Not Nazgul. At this point, we're 10 episodes deep into the series, and I've drawn this conclusion. I like the actor who plays Not Gandalf, but when Nari and Not Sam get wiped out in a sand tornado, you realize spending nearly 12 hours with characters you still don't give a fuck about is a complete waste of time for your typical viewer. No wonder less than a third of the people who started season 1 actually finished it. Soras arrives at Celebrimbor's, who's apparently so unbelievably intelligent he can't even make an umbrella for himself, but not smart enough to see past the child-level form of manipulation Giga Chad uses. I can't trade with you. Be gone. So you've spoken to her? Strong woman? What do you speak of? I know when I'm not wanted. Wait! Are we friends? Of course. No room for secrets between friends, then. Who wrote this shit? Oh, wait.
I haven't really thought about this until now, but they have this big confrontation and conversation in the pilot, and then that conversation is sort of mirrored.
I saw that.
Cool, great. I'm glad. I don't think I did until just now.
This guy is a straight bitch who's gaslit and fooled by Sauron in the clumsiest way possible. Soras endears himself to Cal's ego, and to be fair, the acting is pretty solid in this scene. It's just like everything else in this show, let down by the writing. It's childish in nature and clumsily strung together to get the characters where the writers need them to be. And then this.
The Lord of the Rings.
Holy shit, guys, they said the thing. I should have put a seal clap counter in this video. Oh, and Rings of Power is giving the Acolyte a run for its money for worst makeup effect with that fucking wig. Big oof. Episode 3. You'll be shocked to know this episode starts with yet another recap. A lot of shows do this, but Rings of Power seems to need one. It's so boring the showrunners know you won't remember shit, even if you're one of a handful of people able to mukbang this turd. The episode actually starts with Horseman unable to horseman. His pony's so upset he decides to let it go. Where does it end up? Why, it finds not Isildur, tangled up in a web because you remember that visual from Return of the King, right?
Oh, I remember.
Isildur's story is a microcosm of the baseline blandness of this trash. We know his fate, so there was zero drama in the cliffhanger when he went missing at the end of Season 1. And much like Season 1, time and distance means absolutely fuck all, as the horse essentially teleports to where it needs to be. Queen Regent, the blind baddie from Season 1, is ascending to the throne following the death of her father, and people are p-fucking-o'd about it.
We tired of playing with your ass, nigga.
Then this dude takes a swig of his booze and slaps it down on someone else's table like a total Chad before insulting the meta soy white boy, who backs down like a complete bitch, obviously.
There are some dangers in this world about which it is a father's burden to know. Trust me, my son.
Wait, what the fuck is this? In the words of my friend Mega Geek, what's all this then? The orc, as you can see, is comforting his orc baby and orc lady. The essence of evil in Tolkien's writing has become a victim itself. Victim to modern audience capture. Let's deconstruct fucking orcs now, shall we? As of this writing, they're portrayed as living in a gray area, where we see their kids, a family, display worry and fear about their safety. Why are we dismantling and analyzing evil? Oh right, it's what we do nowadays. Nothing can be left alone, nothing can represent an idea, in this case irredeemable and evil. They have to somehow be sympathetic. It's what bad writers do. They use fashionable tropes. Next, Cuckabrimbor and his bull arrive to see the dwarves. Durin specifically, because Soras and his horrific headpiece, know the king won't be easily fooled, but Gingers are. Cuck and Soras want Mithril for rings, more rangs of power to give to the dwarves. Ginger doesn't trust Soras, and Celebrimbor is an utter dumbass. I cannot stress this enough, a complete moron. He has absolutely zero solid principles and lacks conviction in every possible way, and whether he's written that way on purpose or not, there's one conclusion. The writing here absolutely sucks. Alright, let's go. He tells Sauron they have time to wait for an answer. Sauron says, well, here's some more shit I've been hiding from you. Your High King doesn't know I'm here, and he doesn't think dwarves should have this power. And that's it. That's what it takes for Celebrimbor to flip, on a dime I might add. He instantly says he doesn't have time and the king can go fuck himself. Not only that, but he writes a letter of lies to the High King. So is Sauron extremely manipulative and appeals to their ego, or is the writing ass? You decide. Elsewhere, Isildur comes across a new plot love interest after she stabs him in the leg, and he's a masochist, so it entices him to bring her along. They get jumped by some of Adar's minions because this story has zero action and needs it to be somewhere, and it's a perfect excuse for Blackulus to show back up. Once they get back to their village, apparently the shitty girl boss actress with the curated eyebrows is dead. I don't even remember her dying. I'll assume they just couldn't get her back, and why recast her when you couldn't possibly replicate that level of annoyance? Don Lemonless tries to reconcile with his not adoptive son. I thought we were adopting meta-ness into the show. What the fuck is Blackula doing talking to his kid? This is fucking Jesus, motherfucker. I didn't even realize what I fucking wrote. God damn. It was mean.
Do you see me fucking laughing, my nigga?
Isildur sits and comforts his wench, which makes her comfortable enough to unveil her horrific acting and speech cadence.
After my mom.
A few moments later.
Keep wondering what it's like for her.
The daughter of someone who had a visit from William Shatner, I suppose. Oh no, she's a bad actress. Lemonless is not Kid Theo, tries to join Adar's little army, pretending to be loyal and flashing a fake brand he gave himself, but gets himself kidnapped by Adar's cave troll friend, who's not in a cave. The following day, Blind Cat Lady is about to be sworn in as queen when more shit acting occurs.
No voice but the prayer of a king or a queen is permitted.
Obnoxious actress number 3 brings out the Palantir and says,
"This elf stone is your queen!"
And Ren and Stimpy log rolls that shit down the stairs. This guy screams, "Murderer!" because they can't even find decent extras, and I burst out laughing when I saw this attempt at drama. Then an eagle shows up and takes a shit on everyone, and there's more cringy acting from this dude who just loves it. Elsewhere, Ginger and his wife have agreed to provide Mithril for the dwarf rings, and Cuckarim... and Cuckabrimbor and Sorass are winding them up as we speak. End of episode 3. Thank the fucking Lord. This show is one hell of a torturous slog to get through, and there's no way anyone watches this show for enjoyment. No way. And rightfully so, there's no joy to be found. If you were wishing for improvements over Season 1, that's really too bad. Every criticism from Season 1 can be directly applied here. They've learned nothing because everyone was contractually guaranteed a second season anyway, so why bother making something worthwhile? The streaming numbers for this one are going to be absolutely atrocious. But let's get through the rest of this season, shall we? I know you're not watching it, but I will for you. And I appreciate you joining me on this middling adventure. See you for episode 4. GG's.
This is shit. This is a table of shit.